most people won't mention them, but it's the JDL, it's the Jewish Defense League. The Jewish Defense League. They the ones that's in everybody FBI file. Now, that's not just a coincidence either. Now, check this out. Members, notable members of the Jewish Defense League: Jimmy Iovine, Ted Fields, Clive Davis, Tommy Mottola. I can keep going. I can keep going. But you get the point. If Jimmy Iovine and Ted Fields at Interscope signed Tupac for all these millions of dollars when he dropped that album, he needed 1.5 to get out of prison. He had the #1 album in the country and can't bind out. But the album came out like right before he went to jail, so he hadn't even had a chance to get any of his royalties yet. If he'd have got his first royalty check, he could have bonded out. It never came. It never came. And Suge Knight didn't have nothing to do with that. He wasn't even signed to Suge yet. He wasn't signed to Suge Knight. So what's up with that? Everybody forget that 2 days before Whitney allegedly overdosed and drowned in the bathtub, that Bobby Christina jumped up, fled back to Atlanta from that very same hotel room, telling her mama, somebody tried to hold my head under the water. It was in the news 2 days before Whitney allegedly died in the bathtub from an overdose and drowned. I thought that was an odd coincidence. I'm going to tell you what else I thought was an odd coincidence, is that Clive Davis wanted Whitney to do another project, but Whitney told him her voice was fried and tried to get him to sign Bobby Christina. Why nobody don't talk about that? It's not like it's a secret. This was on like talk shows where she's talking about her voice being gone and she would love to see Bobby Christina and she was going to talk to Clive about it. It ain't no secret. So when he threw the tantrum and she ended up dead and Bobby Christina ended up dead, it's just too coincidental for me, especially when they got the sarcophagi at both situations. Those things don't sit well with me. And what are they saying? You know, so I'm not bashing the conscious community, because it's a whole lot in the conscious community that I got a lot of love for, a lot of respect for. A lot of brothers done a lot of hard work. But what I am going to say in closing is this: if the conscious community want to have a maximum effect, and those who support the ones at the forefront of the conscious community, all y'all got to do, every opportunity to stand together on stage, in public, and in front of people to show the unity we have, the stronghold will melt so fast you will forget there was an oppressor. But if you don't show no unity, and the unity will extend beyond the African American, Native American, and Hispanic conscious communities, because what y'all don't understand is that a lot of these conscious Europeans is going to be the first ones to tear something up on your behalf, because they already know how to use their white privilege to protect you in order for all of us to be free. But because we so conscious and we so sensitive to our past oppression, that we don't realize the extent of the power of one drop of blood. It's a whole dynamic that comes with that. It's a whole dynamic that comes with that. Go back and read the story of Helen of Troy and the Trojan horse, and then you understand the fear of the one drop of blood. One drop of blood, and you're in the Trojan horse. Go study your American history. Now, I'm gonna tell y'all some brothers that I really, really, really hope y'all pay a lot of attention to. It's a YouTube channel. It's a historian. He is a true griot, blessed by the ancestors. His name is Dane Calloway. Dane Calloway, he haven't got there yet, but he about to get to the point where he tell y'all that America was never a country, and that America has been an occupied territory. George Washington wasn't the first president. He was the implant from the crown of England and Afghanistan. Dane Calloway gonna lay it out for you and walk you all the way up to that point. I just flat out told you. Ain't no such thing as the United States of America. That's paperwork. That's not true jurisdiction. They only have subject matter, which means the stuff that they write on their paper among themselves is the only thing they can handle. If you don't know who you are, then they're gonna treat you as a subject. You compromise. 3/5 compromised. They cannot oppress 5/5 realized, because the 5/5 realized is the understanding of what really happened, what your position in place is, and how to defend yourself from it. You automatically know. The Constitution, as they call it, is actually a westernized reprint of the Iroquois Constitution. The Iroquois Constitution was put into that format for the purpose of the trade and the treaty agreements, because the Europeans was illiterate. They had to bring people over to read. So they didn't have the stuff dedicated to memory. They were uneducated. But the Iroquois were educated, but they didn't use Western writing for major documents. Like, they dedicated them to memory over a period of time, which told them your rank. When you could recite your Constitution back, they knew your rank by where you was, and by if you made any mistakes, because they know where the mistakes at. The elders knew, oh, he's only a two-feather chief, like Pontiac, or he's a full head chief. He got 4 feathers. I mean, he know the whole thing. I mean, just some of the stuff. Know who you are. Know what you are. Earthborn, child of the stars, the first resurrected of the righteous. Who are you? If you conscious, you already know this. And if you are the first of the resurrected of the righteous, you automatically know that the only solution to the problem is a unified front. So I hope y'all enjoy my discourse on the conscious community. And I hope that they all keep up the good work, but I hope they keep it up together as opposed to separate. And if we can get all of us together on one page, the tyranny is broken in a matter of a second. Just the fact that we all can agree on one thing. We don't want to be oppressed no more. We don't agree on nothing else. I don't gotta like how you live your life. I don't have to like what car you drive. All I gotta agree with you on is I don't want to be oppressed. I don't want to be taken advantage of, mistreated and misused and disrespected. I want to be treated with the same dignity, respect, and recognition as the next person. I don't want you to steal what I make. I want to earn what I make, and I want to be able to enjoy the fruits of my labor the same as you enjoy the fruits of my labor. You know, you might be enjoying a little more than me right now, but I'm trying to balance the scales over time. So support your conscious community by pushing them together. Do not tolerate division and separation in those that you support. Whenever you hear them speak on unity, big that up. Whenever you hear them speak on unity, make it known that that's what you into. You don't have to agree on everything to be unified. You only have to agree on one thing. You don't want to be oppressed no more. That's it. Everybody gonna have a different approach, and every approach can be used from a different angle. One dude might want to take up arms, but it might not be time yet. The backs of these peeps until we ready to take up arms. If it's necessary, it's necessary. If it's not, it's not. Sun Tzu said it's better to win a single battle by strategy than to win 1,000 by combat. So a wise general never lead his soldiers to a slaughter. And a conscious community will never keep dividing their people, leaving them at the mercy of the oppressor. That's what lions do to the wildebeest in the wild, because as a collective, they can't get to the wildebeest. They have to isolate one. Once they isolate one, he fooled. We need to stop feeding each other to the wolves, to the lions. And once we do that, the oppression breaks across all ethnic lines, political lines, religious doctrines. The oppression breaks when the people say enough is enough and we don't want no more. Stop accepting, divide, and conquer. That's all. Stop accepting, divide, and conquer. And instead of pushing us apart, let's all move together, lockstep, same direction, freedom. Same direction, freedom. And this is where I'll wrap it up at. And I hope I didn't take too much of y'all time, but I appreciate the listeners. Number one tool of oppression is the fear. When you go into a school in the geography class, they have this globe. This is supposed to be Earth sitting on most teachers' desks. A lot of science classes actually have a globe. If you are oppressed and you're in a perpetual state of fear, anything that globe holds is a tool of your liberation. Anything on Earth, good, bad, or indifference, is a tool for your liberation. So now, if you are oppressed and fear is the tool being used, whatever you can do to overcome the fear, whatever you need to learn to overcome the fear can be used to overcome your oppression. Because once you take the fear out of it, everything enhances internally from the perspective of a true power. A true power base is established by overcoming the fear. And so we dealt with the psychic phenomenon, nature's psychic phenomenon. Now, when you want to talk to the angels and you wonder why those characters in the Bible was able to talk to angels and you not, I'm going to tell you why. The angelic beings encounter you and you go into a state of fear. They are going to leave. Your fear response, which they call your fight or flight response, produces a couple of chemicals in the body. One is called neuroepinephrine, another one is called adrenaline, and another one is called cortisol, the stress hormone. When the angelic beings smell that combination in your energy field, they're getting away from you because they know how dangerous humans are. Humans do not know what they are capable of, and they do not understand the power that they have once they become 5/5 realized instead of 3/5 compromised. That is directly talking to a specific group of people identified in the U.S. Constitution. And there's another group of people that becomes fully realized because they can't be taxed. Now, we wonder why the 3/5 compromise, you can't tax but 3/5 black people, because they play by the rules. And if you don't understand the rules, you already lost, because the rules is your blue. The rules is your art of war for the game you playing. If you don't know the rules to Mario, you can't win it. If you don't know the rules of checkers, you can't win it. If you don't know the rules of chess, you can't win it. So if you don't know the rules of this life, how do you expect to be in a winning position? And then this is the rule that they follow. So they're going to use everything they tell you not to. As long as you fall for it, you keep them in a superior position. And many are calling God or godly is the correct combination of chemicals. Yes and no. Let's deal with God. I'm gonna deal with that because God is the cause of most of the fear in the minds of the people. And the minds of the people, God is the most feared entity that we even more feared than the devil because he is the only one we are told that can beat the devil. And so do we really need to fear God? No. Why would you fear what is in you? Because if you breathe and if you believe that you was created as it is said in the Genesis story, so if you even believe that, that breath is the God aspect. When you consider how the text is laid out, Psalms 82:6 saying, have I not said ye are all God's children of the Most High? And then moving on into the Christ in the New Testament saying, is it not written in your law, I have said you are God. So now, here you got the Christ telling them what their law is saying they God's. You got the breath of life. And then you had a Christ talking about realizing this light within the self. And he's saying when those two eyes become single, the whole body becomes filled with light. What is they talking about? This is where the psychic phenomenon comes from, because you can translate spiritual information into a 3D fixed position reality in terms where another three-dimensional mind can grasp it using the aid of the psychic influence or experience. So this will take the fear out of it in and of itself. It'll take the fear out of it once you are realized. So then you cannot fear what's in you because God is in you. If God wasn't in you, you would not be able to rationalize, think, or come to a conclusion to a situation. So there's no need to fear the God. The only thing at this point is, instead of fearing it, why don't you realize it? Embrace that which is in you that'll take away all fear. And once you, the correct combination though wouldn't be fear. So what many are calling God. Hosea 40, recognize how many chromosomes? 46, yep. So now, Jillian, what you're talking about, my children suffer from lack of knowledge, and the 46 chromosomes is getting in the DNA. Because on the DNA, at this particular time, we have been programmed to realize ourselves, to step power and become who we are through the 46 chromosomes. Now, also the 4 and the 6 is 10, being the pivotal number representing the alpha and the omega. The same as the number 19, but this is the tricky part. 1 and 9 equals 10. So you still got alpha and omega. 9 being the final number in the series from 1 to 9 before you switch back to the 1 as 10. So your alpha and your omega meet at the number 10 or the number 19. Okay, so now when we take this information, we take the fear out. The individual that has no fear and moves that energy up to the heart chakra becomes filled with what they call the passion of the Christ. And that's why it says the Christ is not a single individual, but the collective body of the Christ is the unification of this aspect in all of us. So we can unify that aspect of the self, overcome the fear. You have to have some type of catalyst at the heart chakra in order for the love to be pure, unadulterated. And for a man, only a woman can awaken it. A woman can awaken it within herself easier than a man can awaken it within himself. And that would sound almost sexist in a sense, but we don't have to understand why. Because the energy that has to activate the heart chakra comes through the mitochondria. And this is the importance of knowing the self that the Egyptians always said, man, know thyself. Because once you understand who and what you are, none of these people can oppress you any longer. As long as you let that inner self radiate, let that sun within you, that pyramid, let it shine. We've been restricted from letting it shine for a prolonged period of time because the last time we was letting it shine, we got in trouble. That's part of the process of learning how to control power. And another part of the process is those you oppress eventually will have to oppress you so that you will know what it feels like. And we got to keep that in mind. And so the whole God aspect of the fear, you don't fear God. You don't even reverence God. You identify with God. You allow, like you compare yourself to God like this. You say, if God was standing where I'm standing right now, and he's seen the